Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for commenting. And of course, all the messages on my email at lostlikemike@gmail.com. So I get into some long form questions that way. I was about to talk about what's going on in my life currently, but I'm telling you, looking over the last couple episodes, it seems like it's true. Every week I've been sick, and it sort of culminated into it came to a head this past week. I had the flu, and listen, I mean, two things. Something about this. First of all, I was at work. I went to work on Monday. And by the way, I really don't want this to start coming off like this show is like Sick Like Mike or something, where every week I'm just telling you about another ailment and how I'm sick or whatever. It seems like this past month it's just been one big, from allergies to, which I can deal with, to this past week. So anyway, so this Monday I was at work, and over the weekend I complained about a little bit of typical allergy kind of things going on, right? Where I felt maybe like the onset of a little bit of congestion. I was like, maybe something's going on, but nothing. I didn't feel like I was sick. I just felt like like dealing with allergies. Matter of fact, I took some allergy medicine. I was good to go. Let's go sing and have a good time. But on Monday I go to work, and in real time, my coworkers were saying throughout the day, they were saying how, are you okay? Right? Like, you seem like your allergies are getting worse. Are you taking anything for it or whatever? And I felt like my congestion was really starting to come to a head. I felt like I was, a little bit nasally, and then at the same time, my nose was kind of like being a little bit like sneezy, itchy, kind of like I wanted to blow my nose. But again, it just felt like a slow progression. And then like later on, towards the end of the shift, they're like, dude, something's wrong with you. Cause like I was shivering. Like, it was the weirdest. It was weird because it was like happening as I'm there. Like, it's kind of, you wake up sick, or you know what I mean? You kind of just, you are sick. Well, it felt like I was becoming sick, like I was witnessing it happen in front of my eyes. And my head hurt, my body hurt. I started to feel, aches. But even then, I tried to call to get in to see a doctor, and they were like, maybe we could see you tomorrow. And I was like, all right, whatever, let's just get through today. And by the end of Monday, I was like, first thing in the morning, I'm gonna go see a doctor, because I'm already feeling like this is progressing to be something bad. My first thoughts was that it was just COVID returned. COVID, the strikes back, because I just had COVID like two weeks ago, and the doctor had said like it could come back in 10 days, like worse. And I was like, what? Like, is that happening to people? You know what I mean? So I thought that's what this was. That this was like some sort of return onset of like a COVID, right? All right. So then, as the night's going on, whatever, my nose felt like I was shooting like fire, like there was heat coming out my nose. It was, and when I say this, I don't know how else, what to say about it, but my teeth hurt so bad that at like 2 a.m, I'm Googling like what does it mean with these symptoms, including my teeth hurting? It was like next level, dude. And I woke up in the morning I'm like, I think I gotta go. I was so out of it and so just wasted that I was like, I gotta get to a doctor or whatever. And then my wife took my temperature. I had 101 fever. And with my work, with a lot of places, you can't pass go, you can't do anything else. Once you have a fever, you're toast. Like, don't come around, because it's just the number one indicator that you're contagious, right? Like you're fighting off a virus that is active and looking for a new host or something. So you didn't have to tell me twice. It was like 101 fever. I called. No, I texted. And I said, sorry, I am patient 0 and I'm quarantined, or I'm like, and it was the flu. And when I tell you that it was like, it made the COVID look like a walk in the park. I'm telling you, I didn't get out of bed, or even I couldn't fall asleep, but I couldn't stay awake. It was this weird perpetual state of misery that I was just laying in bed and with fighting on and off fever and sweats and runny nose, but just congested and coughing and sneezing and the full gamut of illness. It was awful. And I rode that all day, all night. I was still had a fever. It came back in the middle of the night. It was miserable. The pain, I felt like my teeth were going to fall out. It made no sense. What does that have to do with, you know what I mean? It was a mystery. I was this close to I need to go to the dentist because my teeth are falling out. I don't understand how this is happening. I felt like the Mona Lisa was just crashing. And it was awful. It was awful. I started to scratch the surface of feeling somewhat alive, and by Wednesday, broke the fever by the end of that, and was allowed to return on that Friday. Because, I caught it early enough to be prescribed the flu medicine and I don't know. It was rowdy. Hated it. Awful. Worst time too, I did not need to be off of work. I still have a little bit of a cough, especially when I laugh. It hits me really bad. I'm not all the way out of the woods. And here's the thing. I don't know why my immune system is so compromised right now, why I'm getting sick left and right. It's actually quite unnerving. It makes me just worried because I don't understand. I know I have to get my stuff together and get healthy and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't make any sense. But so yeah, the long and the short of it is that it's just another episode of Sick Like Mike. I don't know if it has to do with the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that I'm taking for it, but I haven't been wanting to sleep recently. Just the dreams have been so lucid, so vivid, but so out there. I was trying to tell my wife my dreams, and she's a distracted person. If there's anybody who's like, oh, look, a squirrel. I mean, she just really, but not like when she wants to focus, she's down, but like she's always running around picking up or cleaning or reorganizing. And then, when I say that word loosely because I don't get me started with the junk drawers in this house, but she's always doing one thing or another. So I try to say something like, hey, let me tell you about my dream when it's fresh. Like when you just wake up and you're coming out of this thing, like going, what was that? That was a trip. Most of my dreams recently have been in this long form of like movie style dream, and very detailed. And if you just get me right after I wake up, you probably would get a good, I probably could pitch that for a movie. It wouldn't make sense, but somebody would be like, like, are you scripting this? Or like, how long did it take you to come up with all that nonsense? And I'll be like, no, dude, that just happened like a minute ago in my head. But anyway, after a couple of days of me trying to tell her, like, I finally get around to telling her this one, and she's like, yeah, all the words that you just said, like, very few of them I understood. And, when you put them in order, like the way that you just did, I don't understand the words that came out of your mouth. And then maybe a day later, I came back and I told her another one because it was, Okay, I'll give you an example. Like one time, like the other day, I had a dream that that I was watching like an Avengers kind of movie. I have to explain. Like where it's like all these different other movies, separate movies, like led up to this one big movie. Okay, and I was saying to the screen that they had to use that they better use the actors that were in the first movie. Because the movie had to do with time travel or interdimensional travel. I couldn't figure it out, but it was going from one point to another point in time and space. So it was going to reference something from the first movie, right? And I said if they flash back to that, or like if they try to reference it and say we're going back to that moment, because whatever was going to happen, it was going to happen like in the past, right? But affecting the future. Whatever. I don't know. But long story short, I was saying, man, they didn't use the actor. And then I was walking out of the movie going, I figured out how they can do it and they're going to fix it. And I was just a weird thing where and it was not like I was going to tell them, hey, this is how you can fix it. I was just going to watch the movie of how they fixed it. So I went into another auditorium, like to watch that movie. And it was Adam Carolla, if anybody knows who that is. And he was talking to the guy who was starred in the movie Coach, the TV show Coach. Anyway, and they were talking they were looking at blueprints, and he was telling them how there was like this section of the wall that they needed to cut a hole in, and they were going to put this item into the wall so that in the future, they could open it up and they would have the clue to know how to fix everything when they came back or something. And then she just looked at me with like a blank stare and was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. I really don't. But in the dream, like when I'm going through all this, it feels weirdly real, and in a sort of abstract way, I can control it, but not really. So I don't like it. And then the one that was kind of like bad for me was the other night. I felt like I was floating in space, and I was watching like a still version of myself. And as long as I didn't do anything, as long as I didn't move, it was just one of me. But whenever I moved, I would split off and become a different version of myself. And it would float away. And then all of a sudden, like this chain reaction of movement and doubling and exponential, like, multiplying started happening. And I was watching an infinite version of infinite alternate versions of myself, like populating the cosmos or whatever. I don't know why or what it meant. And then in that okay, in that same dream, that same time, I was in a house, and I was not going to get out of the house until I figured out all these. It was like an escape room, but in an entire house that was like a bunch of different riddles and like tricks to get out. Like, at one point, I put on infrared glasses, and I don't know for what purpose. I think it was because in real life, like my wife showed me this thing where you put on these glasses and you could see like alligators in the water. I don't know, but I wasn't looking at alligators, but I did put on these these like red glasses, and I could see like these different things happening on this clock. And I was like, I know how to get out of here. Whatever. Oh, and then in that same dream, okay, I was speaking with this one. It was like, I don't know, what do you call it? And then this might be the stupidest episode ever, but just kind of bear with me. There was like, you know how like in Jason Bourne they had all these computer screens and all these computers, and they were typing and they were talking about it and whatever. So there's this like an Asian man, and he's and they're saying how he's worth like a lot of money, and like his money was multiplying, and pretty soon he's going to be the richest man like ever, because his money is just growing and growing. And then they were like, you have to find him because they're trying to kidnap him. So I'm outside of this hotel, and the car pulls up, and he gets out, and I was like, I've got eyes on him. Like, I'm going to bring him up. And then the person on the other side, up in the Jason Bourne room, was like, what are you talking about? Like, he's already up here. And then another voice was on the intercom, like the walkie-talkies or whatever, and they were like, that there's been multiple sightings of this guy like all around the city, and that nobody knows which one the real one is, and they might all be imposters, and he may already be gone. It was just the weirdest thing. But anyway, with a couple times I'll wake up and I'll be like, you know what? I don't want to mess with this anymore. Like, I don't want to go back to sleep. And I'll wake up periodically, like at 2 a.m, 4, whatever. And I'll just be like, yeah, you know what? I'd rather just like, in a way, I want to just have a dream journal and write them out and get them out of my system. But, one would think that they'd be fun and interesting to be in like this, in these weird movies and see these weird things. But when I say it's I don't know. It doesn't feel good. And there's a lot of things that I'm not even remembering, like awkward imagery and just weird stuff that you don't want to be there in those things. That's like, do you remember like in the no, it wasn't stupid. What was it? Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it was 4, when they were like could control it, like the Dream Warriors and stuff. I've tried to you know to influence the dream in some way, shape, or form, but usually once I try to do that, I take myself out of the groove of it. Recently, I feel like I think that I had to acknowledge that I've gone into this weird, and again, it might be because of sickness, it might be because of just being in a bad state and for a period of time. But I feel like it's just this weird hater state, and I have to explain why why I think it is, because I don't want to be in that sort of mentality, but I've had this sort of fog in my mind recently, and so when I watch people sort of interacting in the world in a clear way and doing things, it frustrates me, because I feel like I'm having to struggle to do the very simple things recently. Like I feel like it's just like a like a fight to do like these normal, what would normally be easy for me things. And I don't like social media. I don't like, I mean, it's hard for me to like a lot of that anyway. But recently it's just been frustrating, the things that people choose to do with their time, including myself. It's just frustrating because of situations like being debilitated and in bed and just stuck there for 48 hours. And I think of all the things that I want to be doing, or all the things that I should be doing. Like I just got started kicking off a workout plan where I was feeling like I was gonna really try to make strides to get healthy. And I'm not saying I'm giving up on that. I'm just saying when you're laying there and you can't even breathe out your nose other than just, fire, hot air, and your teeth hurt and nothing's sort of, you don't want to do anything. It's a little difficult, to watch people do stupid things and you're like, man, come on, like what are we doing here? But I don't know. It's been a weird. I was talking to my mom, as everybody knows on the podcast. I talk to her every day. We chat for a while, and she's like, damn, you not. She was saying today, like how I'm not. She's not a rude person, and I'm not a rude person. Like, what is with me? And my just I seem frustrated. I seem like I've got attitude, because I was talking about somebody was giving her some things, and she didn't have the heart to tell the person that she didn't want those things. But the things that they were giving her were making her day-to-day life difficult. And instead of telling the person, hey, I don't want these things, she was having to sneak them out and give them to other people, like in paper bags, so that the person wouldn't find out that she was giving these items away. And I said, just tell the person, yo, I told you I don't want these things. And she was like, I already said that to that person, and she doesn't want to be rude. And the person was all like referencing like God, like, like it's my duty to give, God wants me to give these things to you. And I was telling my mother, no, like even God would say that that's rude to like disrespect somebody's wishes. If I said I don't want something and then you keep shoving it in my face and hiding behind, God, and saying God wants me to shove this in your face. No, you know what I mean? Like I think that's rude. I think that's mean. And I said, I'm not saying to go to them and I said this, if you very nicely say, hey, listen, I don't want these items anymore. Don't come, because it's a reoccurring gift every few weeks, this person comes and delivers more and more, and they stockpile and stockpile. So I said, listen, and she said she was very kind and said, oh, you know what? No, thank you. No more for me. Please. I don't want any more of this. And that this person said, no, God says I am to give and give and give. And so I just have to. And at that point I said, take them from the person's hand, turn around and put them in your wastebasket. That's it. Trash them. And so, I know you want to re-gift it to the next person. Maybe that does make me a bit of a bitter person, or like not nice, but I just feel like the principle behind it is sort of saying, I hear what you're saying and I don't care. You know what I mean? It's saying, oh, you don't want this? Well, I want you to have it, so take it. It's gross. Makes me angry. But I think she feels that I'm displacing my anger and my frustration with other things in the world, with, her situations. And she's probably right. I know it's not healthy to be angry. Because here's another thing. I had said, you know what? I'm not getting enough sleep. So maybe that's what's causing me to be sick all the time. And I said to myself, well, maybe it's the alcohol. So maybe I should lay off the alcohol. And maybe, a bad diet, you want to eat right, whatever. So there's all these different reasons that you feel that are contributing to an overall problem. But you don't, you know what I mean? So when you're not actively taking steps towards solving those problems, it feels like it's just never going to happen. And I wake up and I look at myself and I feel like I'm just, I don't know, bloated and just feeling not 100%. And I haven't felt 100% in like a month, dude. Like this whole year has been I know I go from a month to a year, but it's only, we're just starting March now. So I feel like the new year kicked off with a bunch of illnesses, and, I really want to detox my life. I was telling my son that the other day. We're talking about, taking steps towards, cleansing our lives. And to his credit, he's doing some things like working out and all this. I'm very proud of him. It's National Sons Day according to Facebook, right? But, and I have this weird problem with posting on these things when feels disingenuous to be like, it's about your kids, but then it's like, look at me, and I don't like that. I don't know. To be honest with you, I haven't figured out how to be what is authentic about it, like how to be what my voice sounds like in these different platforms. Does that make sense? I'm saying, like, it doesn't feel like me to post things. Like they were saying, most people will have a podcast, will post on their different social media platforms. Hey, new episode just out. It's about these things. Check it out if you want. I've never been able to do that. I don't know why. I feel like it's like not promoting, like not self-promoting. A lot of people will go on different social media platforms and set up the mic and the video cameras, and they'll just look into the camera or something stupid, and then they'll sing their stupid, they'll sing their little songs or whatever. And I'd like to do that too, and I don't know how to do. I've never done that, I remember one time there was this guy and he was playing some guitar riff and he's like, write something over this. And I sang, I was at a Whataburger. I even talked about it on the podcast once. And I was at some drive-through Whataburger and I was like, wow, that's actually, I could hear something over that. And while I was waiting in this line, this drive-through line, I just kept playing it on a loop, on repeat, and by the time I got my items and went home, I had the little verse and build-up chorus, bridge chorus, and I recorded it and put it on whatever, it was TikTok or something like that, and I was obsessed with it. I was like, you know what? This is kind of fun, like, you know, hearing somebody else's music and just being like, what does that, you know, piece evoke, like, lyrically and melodically, you know. I kind of like enjoyed the challenge of it, but I don't know. I don't really know, like, what people do with all these different things. But I wanted to, like, I would love to just sit there and, you know, film something and put it out. Even podcasting, talking in this long form where I'm sharing my thoughts and feelings. I know it's probably, there's ways of tailoring it and getting a co-host and getting people to edit it and putting graphics and doing things correctly. I don't know. I have to find some way that it's authentic to me. I feel like if it's too contrived, then I feel like then it wouldn't be, I don't know, it would be done well, but would it hold true to what I'm trying to do? You know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I'm just tripping. Because I think also at the same time that on a certain level, we self-destruct and we hold ourselves back from our full potential at times for fear of any sort of moderate or considerable success. Not only in this particular avenue, but in any media that we're contributing in. You know, I don't know. Being sick sucks, man. It just messes with your whole head. I mean, it really frustrates me to no end. I know, and also, by the way, I know that I'm releasing this one. It's going to be late. I know, because I didn't even start it on Sunday, which I normally do. But I think I'm going to start just doing it Sunday or Monday, whenever, because too many things happen. Life happens all the time. So I'm not going to be so hard on myself and make it a point to talk about it every time. This will be the last time I say something about it. But look for it on Sundays and Mondays when, you know, this is my best effort to say I'll try my best. And hopefully there'll be about more topics than my physical ailments. You know what I mean? I was definitely going to the doctor. I was supposed to go back to the doctor after I got done with being sick for a week. But I'm so tired of like calling and trying to set something up. And then when I need them, they're like, you know what, it'd be cool. And look, I don't blame the doctor's office. I don't blame, because I have a doctor's office in my building where I work and you can go visit them. I blame it on myself because I wait till like the end of the day, or like I wait till, you know, later in the afternoon, and I start calling and asking if I can drop in. So it's my own self-sabotage that's doing that. Like, there's nothing that says in the morning I can't say, yo, can I just come in sometime later on in the day instead of waiting to the last minute? And that's all me all day. And then my daughter this morning, she wakes up and she's not feeling well. But look, remember we talked about this, like, you may not, but I'm saying I was quarantined in a room alone for all week. my daughter literally would go to the door and say, "Dad, miss you." You know what I mean? Because I was so contagious. Like I was, when I say I had the fever and I had just, there was like a smell of death and rot in the room that I was in. It was just awful. And so I will not accept that I got my daughter sick in any way, shape, or form, because I didn't even see her all week. You know what I mean? Like I was kept away, and she was kept away from me. But we finally hung out as family on Sunday, and we went to a park with a lot of like dirty looking children, so I'm sure it was them. You know, so stupid. I took my dog to this park and all these, you know, like people with their families and whatever, and my wife and daughter are playing on the jungle gyms, you know, and whatnot, and my dog's sitting there with me. And, you know, she gets tired, my dog does. And we walked all around this big like river and this trail, and we went and sat down on a bench by the jungle gyms. And I don't even know how to talk to people sometimes. Like this lady came up and she's like, "Oh, what a lovely dog." And then my dog kind of like bumped her kid or whatever in a playful way. And she's just talking about the kind of dog she wants. And I think she threw in a couple zingers trying to make jokes. And I didn't even know how to talk to her. I was like, every now and then I would wheeze a cough, laugh out, and giggle with a bit of a wheezy cough. It was so lame. And another lady comes up all like, you know, "Is it okay if my kid pets your dog?" And my dog stands up to greet yet another kid. And the kid falls back because it's way too little to be messing with a golden retriever. But she's like, you know, almost like she's happy that her kid fell back. Like, because, you know, those kind of parents that feel like every injury is like one more step towards toughening their kid up. You know what I mean? I don't even know how to describe it, but she's like, "All right, sounds like that dog likes your, you know, likes your face." I don't know. But I need to get out more because I did not know how to talk to people. That was, it was like every time somebody came up and they would interact with me, once they'd walk away, in my mind I was thinking, failed again. Like I don't know what the expectation was from that scenario, but no go. Nothing happened there. Like that was tragic. That was really bad. And finally, I just looked over at them and I waved and said, you know, I have no desire to continue this moment. Yeah. Anyway, you know, my daughter is at this age where she has this infectious, like, this great laugh. And when she gets laughing hard, it's, I used to do it when I was a little kid. I would laugh and then other people would start laughing because it was like this, it was just this, a contagious event. And it was something about a kid's laugh. Once it hits that frequency, it just taps into something. And she's got it right now. And I was just thinking about it because she was kind of bouncing off the walls. It's like when you're sick and you're bottled up and you can't do nothing, and then she just started freaking out. Yeah, it made it. But I could just sit there laughing with her. I wish I didn't have this cough though, because every time I start coughing, I'm laughing and it just comes out in a cough. But you know, anyway. this week was rough, and I wish it was better. I wish there was nicer things to talk about. I'm sure there are topics that I could get into but I'm just in a really bad mood with all of it. So I'm gonna call this one early today. Thank you for hanging out and coming by and listening. Thanks for messaging me at lostlatemike@gmail.com. And I will see y'all next week. Okay, we'll make it along.